some good news. All right. That's that. All right, here we go. No, that's not it. Anyway, I saw this earlier. Where did I put it? Okay, it's disappeared on me. Hi. There is a lawsuit now. There's a lawsuit now filed against the Trump tariffs, claiming that his declaration of emergency powers is unconstitutional. And this would be great if the Supreme Court took this up. The reality is that we have dozens of emergencies having been declared by presidents over the last 40 years. Dozens. And all kinds of rights-limiting executive orders that have been the consequences of these emergency declarations. So it would be amazing if the Supreme Court was actually willing to take up, some of these emergency power questions and really issue a ruling that clarifies when it's appropriate to declare an emergency and when it is not. There is no emergency right now in the United States that would justify, actually there's no emergency ever that would justify, but there's no emergency right now that could even remotely justify Trump's tariffs, which basically represents a seizure of power by the executive from the legislature. Congress can pass a law that raises taxes. Congress can pass a law to raise or impose tariffs. The president cannot do it unilaterally. Now, Congress has defaulted in its responsibilities and given the president emergency power to impose tariffs in times of emergencies. But there is no emergency. So there is a chance that the courts will save us from Trump's tariffs. It's pretty shaky grounds that Trump is trying to justify this. So now we've got, these lawsuits. Trump is attempting to bypass Congress by invoking the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. But in its 50-year history, no previous president had used it to impose tariffs. And it's just, there's nothing in the law that would suggest that it's an appropriate use of it. Now, the IEEPA mentions things like embargoes and sanctions, and is being used against hostile powers like Russia and North Korea and Iran. But here tariffs are being used against our friends. It's not a hostile nation. Now, to some extent, Trump is trying to show that the tariffs are related to, or at least the Canadian and Mexican tariffs are related to immigration and drugs, which he perceives as a security threat. But then how do you explain tariffs on Europe and other places? This is going to be really interesting. This is going to be really interesting. To what extent is the court willing to protect the role of the legislature in determining what tariffs are? And to what extent will they allow for Congress to just shrug and renege on its responsibility and approve of the ability of the president to just declare any kind of emergency they want in order to pass whatever tariffs they want? I mean, what Trump is doing with these executive orders and with these tariffs is a complete negation of the whole idea of checks and balances that the Constitution articulates. And it would be amazing if a conservative court, dominated by justices that were selected by Trump, actually votes down these tariffs as unconstitutional. That would be amazing. By the way, for those of you interested more in the whole tariff issue and the whole manufacturing and bring the jobs back issue, highly recommended essay called Buy American is Un-American. Buy American is Un-American by Harry Binswanger, who wrote the essay in the late 1990s. And as relevant as ever. So check it out. You can find it on AynRand.org. Just search, put in quotation mark, Buy American is Un-American, and you'll find it. Excellent essay. Unbelievably relevant to what is going on right now. All right, let's let's see. Yeah, so this entity that is suing is the New Civil Liberties Alliance. I have not heard of them. Let's click on this. Let's find out who the New Civil is. They help protect civil liberties from the administrative state. That sounds fantastic. And here's their press release. Today we filed the first lawsuit challenging President Trump's new tariffs on all China imports. He imposed it under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a law that lets presidents freeze assets or block transactions during real national emergencies. It does not let them rewrite U.S. tariff law. Congress has exclusive constitutional power to set tariffs. It already did so through detailed statutes. The president can't sidestep that by invoking vague emergency authority that says nothing about tariffs. Our client, Simplified, is a small Florida business owned by Emily Lee. She sells premium planners and home products that empower women. Her company imports goods from China that aren't available here, and she's already paid steep tariffs. The new Trump tariffs would drive her costs through the roof and force her to raise prices or cut back. Okay, so they are suing this. They write about the law. The law doesn't give president, okay, so here's what they say. Here's the bottom line. No president has ever used IEEPA this way, not even Trump in his first term. This tariff violates the Constitution's separation of powers. The major questions doctrine and the non-delegation doctrine make clear no executive can seize legislative authority to impose economic policies of, quote, vast political economic significance, unquote, without a clear, explicit directive from Congress. The law doesn't give the president this power. The Constitution doesn't allow it, and the court shouldn't tolerate it. We are asking the court to vacate the tariff and block its enforcement, because if presidents can start taxing Americans by emergency order, the Constitution's limits on power don't mean much at all. I agree completely. So I support this lawsuit 100%. I think they're absolutely right. I very much hope that judges block these tariffs and they block it sooner rather than later. I hope this goes to the Supreme Court. I hope the Supreme Court does a good job of basically criticizing and maybe vacating all these emergency power acts and institutions of presidents and all the rights violations that they have involved over many, many, many years. So some people are standing up against this. Yeah. Okay, final point I'll make, I made this yesterday, but it's worth making again. To a large extent, the tariffs are power play. To a large extent, the tariffs are a way for Trump to flex his muscles. They're a way for him to gain attention. They're a way for him to force global leaders and corporate leaders to come and grovel before him. They're a way to get them to kiss his ring, to realize who's got real power in the world. And they give him that thrill of making everybody in the world dependent on him. He is the center of attention. He is the man that everybody's going to fly to see. He is the man that they're going to take out to dinner for a check for $5 million. This is the most crony, swamp-friendly, economic policy ever. It's truly a disaster.